Hello and welcome back to my thoughts on the Legends of Magic series and the episode that ties into it. Frankly, screw the introduction, and let's get right back into the video. So, Rarity's tale is about Mistmane, a powerful unicorn sorceress, but there are a few things that I can notice right off the bat. Before we even zoom into the crowd, I can tell things are going to be taking an Asian inspiration, with a mostly Chinese decor to decorate the area. However, there are a few things that break up that image, as later on in the episode there are two obvious Sakura Trees, which I take to mean this is going to be more of an amalgamation of Asian cultures with a Chinese center. Next we look at these ponies with their oddly curved horns and Mistmane's oddly flowing mane. As soon as I saw these, I paused and tried to look up Chinese unicorns. What I came up with was the Quailin, a form of dragon, horse, ox, deer thing that appears to be in both Chinese and Korean cultures, known as the Chirin in modern times. You might actually recognize this from several MLP headcanons and fanfictions, although these clearly lack some of the features. In Korea, as opposed to China, they are more known for being thin and horse-like, so I believe this is where she takes inspiration from, as well as closer to modern representations rather than anything else. However, other aspects are clearly trying to reference Chinese dragon biology, from the hair that flows upwards, which is a trait among Chiron and among dragons, to her beauty, which is often compared to that of gems. Chiron were first recorded in the 5th century BC, and they have made many appearances in works of fiction and history, which, of course, is kind of hard to not intertwine at the time. In several ways, they became known as a representation of giraffes, which were brought all the way from Africa and named for the dragon horses of yore. In mythology, they are generally more dragon-like than we see in the show, as they are usually partially, if not fully, scaled upon their backs. And they all have antlers upon their heads, though single-horned Chiron are not unknown among mythology. This would be the kind that we're trying to find more justification for now. One of the most pervasive myths about Chiron, other than their innate sense of good and evil, is their love for benevolent rulers. It is said that Quailin appeared twice in the gardens of emperors, each of which were said to be some of the greatest rulers China has ever known. Mistmane, in turn, appears both in the gardens of the Empress in the story, where she convinces the Empress to regain her benevolent rule, to the gardens of Equestria's current rulers, which I believe shows a certain amount of forethought on the part of the writer. Now let's talk about Mistmane and her parents' Cutie marks. The marks, which are a lotus flower, a cloud, and mist, are all appropriate for Quailin. The mother's flank bears a lotus flower, a significant symbol of the seed of Buddha, which rises from the mud and blooms. It is known as a symbol for pure beauty, that, and of honor. But it is the action of rising up from the mud that I think makes sense for Mistmane later on in the episode, where flowers grow where she walks. Her father's cutie mark, as well, is a cloud, which easily represents the dragon half of the magical family. The clouds in China are a representation of the area between the earth and the heavens, the celestial realm, and are said to be created by the breath of dragons. Given the stallion's nature, and possibly his dragon heritage, I think we might know what his job is. Finally, as I can't parse out the Empress's cutie mark, let's look at Mistmane. Mist in and of itself. Mist makes sense for a Chiron, as they're known in myth to walk upon the mist and the water so as not to disturb the grass. I think this makes sense for Mistmane, although she doesn't actually do it, and ties her closer to the creatures I believe they're trying to represent. In any case, although I think my case has been proven, it's obvious that not all unicorns have the Chiron physiology at this time. Just those of Mistmane's homeland. She went and met several unicorns in the comics that had a standard horn. Finally, as a side note, I would like to address something that may or may not be troubling to my previous theory, the intelligence of animals within the comics without the presence of magic to shape them to it. I would say something dumb like the princess's castle was so magical it could cause the animals to have the presence of mind. However, I think that's just kind of an excuse. Instead, let me posit that it is Mistmane's magic that allows them to be as intelligent as they are in that comic. Whether or not that means she put them up to the conflict in the first place, I'll leave that up to you. But for the moment, I think that at least the speaking part, where they could have had such active communication with Luna, was aided by Mistmane's powerful magical presence. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next video, where I'll be discussing Rainbow Dash's favorite legend, Flash Magnus.